Minister, according to your own department, actually, the carbon tax is going to cost our GDP $25 billion. So I don't know where you're getting your numbers from.
It never ends here in Canada. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David, and today's top stories, we got Melanie, Joly, and a couple other departments connected to Global Affairs Canada found absolutely wasting our money, wasting hundreds of thousands, wasting millions of dollars, specifically furniture in this case. We've also got Stephen Guilbeault caught in a gotcha moment in committee. Conservatives expose him lying. We got Jagmeet Singh running his mouth about Donald Trump, among some other stories. So let's jump into this. So next up, we have quite the scathing story here. We got a couple different things here on X. The same story. We've got this one from Canada Proud. It says Trudeau Liberal Foreign Minister Melanie Joly's department spent $523,000 on furniture on a single day of March of this year. So there's a reason for that. It's because they have a budget and they didn't spend their whole budget, so they just blew the whole budget on furniture. We got this here from Naya, same thing. This is coming from Blacklock's reporter. Cabinet has long denied the phenomenon of March Madness, a yearly blitz that sees departments burn through unspent budgets in the dying hours of the fiscal year. It's going to disappear if it's not used. Yeah, it's just going to disappear. Our hard work is going to disappear. It's just appalling how they talk about stuff like that. How about just save the money and go spend it on something good, not waste money on furniture? Maybe go out and help the homeless for once. Same story here, this one posted by Conservative Kelly Block.
Given recent reports that Global Affairs Canada spent $523,000 on furniture in a single day on March 31st of this year, and has spent approximately $25.5 million on furniture since 2022, and considering that this apparent end-of-year budget spending blitz occurs at a time when Canadians are facing financial hardship and accessing food banks in record numbers, the committee invites senior officials from Global Affairs Canada to a meeting to explain this spending. Thank you.
This is appalling. These people need to be fired. Every single Liberal NDP need to be fired. We no longer have a government. What we have is occupation of thieves, and Canadians are being held hostage. I'm disgusted and sickened by what we have become. Full audit and inventory. How much went home with staff and knew an election was pending? So they need new furniture to continue to accomplish absolutely nothing. So Global Affairs Canada is Melanie Joly. It's also Mary Ng and Ahmed Hussein, the three of them. You know who else is Global Affairs Canada? It's Far Off Ripoff. Let's just set this to 100 projects. Let's jump over to page 4 here. What do we got? Drum roll, please. Let's go with this. $9 million. They spent our money on this project aims to create an improved business development for up to 23,000 firms in Tanzania by addressing the country's principal constraints to investment, productive growth, and job creation. That's right. They're doing job creation in Tanzania, folks. What a load of crap. $9 million. We're not going to get into all the weeds of this, but employing gender-sensitive analysis and providing training to local partners, support enhancing, like, come on. Like, what is this? The laundry machines are running non-stop at Global Affairs Canada. One more for fun. Let's just pick one. 10.25 million. We know this one's going to be good because they're all good. The project aims to improve the inclusion of women in public and democratic life in Democratic Republic of Congo. Project activities include organizing civic education, strengthening exercise of women and marginalized citizens' right to vote. This is great, but I mean, guys, at what point do you go to jail for sending this much of our money to other countries? Next up, we got this interesting clip here. I think this is an older clip of Jagmeet, but just listen to what he says here about Trump. As it says here by Glenda, it says, Jagmeet calls Trump an egomaniac, while supports the biggest one we've ever seen is the epitome of hypocrisy.
Is a unmitigated disaster. Donald Trump is an egomaniac who is charged with multiple crimes, has been convicted of inappropriate activity. It is clear that his goal is not to help out people that are struggling with the high cost of living or housing or inflation in the States. His goal is vengeance. He's openly running on a egomaniac, vengeance-filled motive to become the president. And it is incredibly disturbing to watch this.
What do you think this means for Canada if he gets elected?
It means a lot of trouble. It means a lot of worry and fear for Canadians. It is not good for Canada. It's going to be bad. if Donald Trump is elected again.
There you have it. I wonder if they'll ever meet face to face. It's pretty rich coming from him, considering all he's doing is propping up the government for his pension. The hypocrisy here is pretty ripe. If he truly believes he's going to be PM of Canada, he's clearly delusional and probably suffers from a related mental deficiency narcissism. He is, however, a political con artist who does prop up a fellow narcissist for financial reasons. That sums it up. Next up, we got this one posted by Dan Mazier. It says, breaking, Trudeau's radical environment minister Stephen Guilbeault promises to quadruple the carbon tax in the face of 25% tariffs from US. Of course, we're going to continue with the carbon tax. This will cost Canada's economy $30 billion by 2030.
Minister, the United States is threatening Canada with 25% tariffs that would cripple our economy. Will you cancel the carbon tax so our economy can be competitive? Yes or no?
Je vais dire ce que j'ai dit à votre...
Well, I'll
It's interesting that he's replying in French. This is intentional.
respond by repeating what I said to your colleague earlier. Carbon pricing is responsible for $25 billion of investment nationwide annually. If we scrap that, that means scrapping $25 billion of investments, and we're just not going to do it.
Minister, according to your own department, actually, the carbon tax is going to cost our GDP $25 billion. So I don't know where you're getting your numbers from, but your own department is reporting that number.
Je serais très heureux de présenter au comité.
Listen, I'd be delighted, Mr. Chairperson, to table all the documents with the committee to substantiate what I've just said.
This is ridiculous. So he's using French because only 19% of Canadians speak French. 70% of Canadians speak English, and 10% are all the other languages. It's a way for not only have his English voice attached to his face. Instead, we have this like Australian sounding voiceover guy here. And often when things are translated, they don't get put into media or pushed out more. It's a dirty tactic.
40% of Canada's economy is due to trade with the United States. Is it your personal opinion that the carbon tax should remain in place even if Donald Trump imposes these tariffs? Yes or no?
Bien sûr que nous allons continuer d'avancer avec...
Of course we're going to continue with the carbon tax because it creates jobs and it helps us to promote investment and reduce GHG emissions.
And continue on crippling our economy with the carbon tax, even though Donald Trump, and you're not standing up for us in Canada.
Je suis en profond désaccord avec...
I agree entirely with what you just said. Carbon pricing is important. Even the representative from Pathway Alliance is calling on your leader to demonstrate or to clarify his stance on carbon pricing because it threatens investment. Dow Chemicals and other companies, Strathcona, that invested $2 billion in a carbon capture program. There's huge investments with the cooperation of the federal government.
Crikey! It does make Guilbeault a lot more tolerable with that voice instead of his.
The government made a decision on whether it will increase the carbon tax over $170 a ton past 2030.
Pas de décision qui a été prise sur l'après 2030.
There's no decision that's been made yet until after what's going to happen after 2030.
Just let him finish. Is it something you're considering?
Comme je vous l'ai dit, il y a pas...
As I said, there's no decision that's been made for what's going to occur after 2030 when it comes to carbon pricing.
Will you rule it out today?
Je vais le répéter, si vous voulez, il y a pas de...
I'll repeat, there's no decision that's been made in terms of carbon pricing for post-2030.
Minister, is it possible for Canada to meet the 2030 emissions targets without a carbon tax? Yes or no?
Ooh, good question.
Ben, ce serait...
Well, listen, theoretically, that would require investments of billions and billions of dollars, which we cannot achieve through tax measures. That has to be achieved by way of investments and so on.
Or does it have to be achieved through America and India and China stepping up to the plate, not Canada, who affects the climate by 2%?
I don't have the figures right here, but what I can tell you is carbon pricing will help us to achieve 30% of our objectives. So you have to bear that in mind, and you'd have to replace that with other mechanisms. And sincerely,
Minister, I asked you a simple question.
Point of order.
Guilbeault is an absolute loser. Guilbeault is clearly not working for Canada. He's working for China. Is Guilbeault's company still receiving government funding? Great question. Not sure. Probably. They're telling you clearly that they intend to destroy Canada and bankrupt Canadians. So what we have here is the federal carbon tax rate proposed. You can see here, just keep going up all the way to 2030. This is what Trudeau wants to do. He's going to give a 2-month little tax break here, and then he's just going to keep jacking this up. Like that little 2-month break is going to be nothing by the time April comes around. And what we've got here is Canadians are getting less food for their grocery dollar. The yellow line here is what you're paying. The blue line is what you're getting. So we got shrinkflation. We've got a whole bunch of factors here. But yeah, we're getting less food, more cost. And this is only up until Q1 2023. We've got this one here, and this only goes up to 2023 as well. I'll make it big for you guys. There we go. You can see like straight to the moon here. So we've got all the way back to 1970. Things have risen over time, but you get Justin Trudeau coming into power here and off to the moon. And right here, this spot just before this big up is where Justin Trudeau initiated his Century Initiative. That's his plan to have 100 million people living in Canada by 2100. Next up, we've got some updates here coming from COP29 in Azerbaijan.
Nearly 200 countries have agreed on a new global climate deal after hectic negotiations at a UN summit in Azerbaijan. Wealthy countries, including Canada, pledged to contribute $300 billion every year by 2035. That money would go into supporting developing nations cope with impacts of climate change. But the agreement reached after talks ran over time was criticized by those it intends to help. Earlier today, many members staged a walkout calling for developed nations to do more.
The question is, can Canada really be called a wealthy nation anymore? Our country's broke. Our people are broke. People are sleeping in tents. 1 in 4 in poverty. Are we really wealthy? Should we really be giving more of our money to other countries? This is a perfect segue to head over to this list I've got here of Justin Trudeau's spending in other countries of our money. Today we're on page 5. Let's take a look at this. Trudeau spent $30 million of our dollars on. This project aims to contribute to environmental rehabilitation and long-term development of Cox's Bazar District through supporting an ecological sustainable approach in host communities and Rohingya refugee camps. Project activities include securing access to cleaner energy by producing alternative cooking fuel, liquefied petroleum gas instead of firewood, deforestation, contributing to environmental ecosystem protection, yada yada. This is great and all, but our people are suffering. Really? $30 million? Are you kidding me? Jumping back to our list here, let's do one more. Trudeau spent nearly $19 million on the project aims to reduce poverty by supporting the development of small and medium enterprises, which play a vital role in creating jobs and generating wealth in developing country markets. 15-year investment fund. So this one's not directly targeted at a specific region. You can see 30% in Africa, 30% in America regional, and 40% in Asia. What a waste of money. This next story here is about a lawyer who's being impersonated by artificial intelligence. If you're not familiar with this, you can basically impersonate anyone now, especially if someone has a lot of footage of themselves on the internet.
Artificial intelligence has many perks, but we're seeing tonight one of the major drawbacks. A deep fake video of one prominent immigration lawyer in Toronto shows how some are using the technology to take advantage of vulnerable people during a time when there's much confusion over new federal rules. CTV's Kamal Karmali reports.
Hi, Mr. Charles Buell. I'm Max Chaudhary.
Believe it or not, this video,
Professional immigration consultant, lawyer,
is not real. It's artificial intelligence.
Very disturbing.
Mimicking immigration lawyer Max Chaudhary. He found out about it after someone told him they received the video over WhatsApp from an unknown number.
They sent me the videos, and I said, yes, that's definitely not me.
The number pretending to be Chaudhary, using deep fake videos and asking for thousands of dollars for legal services. How concerned are you about how many people may have viewed this video?
The fear is that it could be tens of dozens of people, at least in the immigration sphere.
When we called the number, no one picked up, but clearly using a picture of Chaudhary on their profile.
That strikes me as another venue or method to target more vulnerable people.
AI is everywhere on social media and search engines, some of it used to target the vulnerable.
Anybody who we could see as vulnerable, gullible, or in an urgent position might be more susceptible to sort of bite the bait.
Including newcomers to Canada.
When people are desperate, when we are seeing the federal government changing rules so often that it's hard to separate truth from lies, then people will, I think a lot of people might believe it.
Ottawa has decided to significantly reduce its permanent resident targets and limit the number of work and student permits it issues, now believed to be creating a climate of confusion that those lurking in the shadows can use to their advantage.
People are looking for ways to just be able to make sense of this, and they are going to be preyed upon.
Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada says it urges applicants to use the official departmental website for information, and the advice from migrant associations is to not give out any money until you actually receive the services.
Yeah, what we really need is some hackers in Canada to reverse hack these people, figure out who they are, 20 years in jail, put them to work cleaning out the ditches, picking up garbage, clean up Canada. We don't need filth like this, sending out stupid messages, impersonating people. The real problem here, these are probably coming from Weasley rats in India or China or some other country not in Canada where there's no jurisdiction over this. As someone who's had my entire business destroyed by a hacker, I think we should have a SWAT team that goes around the world and kindly hugs these people. And in other news, we've got Optimus Robot. This is Elon Musk's project here. This is a robot that can catch a ball. Now, the point of doing that, you can see here, is actually crushing that tennis ball. This thing's got a lot of strength. But the point of that is having good dexterity. Then this thing can cook and clean and walk your dog, whatever. That's the plan. This is going to be like a maid, a personal robot for people. Global Affairs Canada, Melanie, Joly, Mary Ng, Ahmed Hussein, these guys wasting so much money, millions of dollars, not only on furniture, but all the stuff I put in those far-off rip-off segments I've got there. It's absolutely preposterous. Hundreds and hundreds, something like 1,700 results there, different ways wasting our money. You gotta wonder, is it even possible to do a forensic audit on all this spending? There's too much money they've dished out all around the world, or is that their plan the entire time?